to a special edition of Education Matters. My name's Ray Pinney with New Jersey School Board Association. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. We'll be talking in January of 2022. Governor Murphy signed into a law that student representatives um, will have to sit on school boards that have a high school. And I know there's some apprehension from some people that haven't done it, but I know most people have a very positive experience. Today, I have two guests with me. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, I had a student, Reese Sahadow, from the Verona School District, who was a delightful young woman and very bright, if you ask me. But now I have two people from her district to talk about the impact that Reese had on them. With me is Diane DiGiuseppe, who's the superintendent. Welcome, Diane. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. And then Pam Priscoe, who's the board president. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Before we get started, I know it was a positive experience. I've heard that, and I met Reese. Now I know why it was a positive experience. But I'm going to give you guys some credit too for bringing her on board. But for those who don't know about the Verona School District, Diane, why don't you just tell us briefly about not about you, about the school district?
Sure. So we are right next to Montclair. So we're a small town next to a larger community. And we're a comprehensive community public school district. We serve students in pre-K through 12th grade. And we have 6 schools, 4 elementaries, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. And we serve approximately 2,200, we're about 2,180 students and about 240 certificated staff. It is a very close-knit community. I'm going to let Pam say a little bit about the community since she's been here most of her adult life. It is a really tight-knit staff and just a really great place to work. I've been here. This is my second year. I'm just finishing up my second year here. And it was a great move to come to Verona, and it's a nice community.
Pam, would you want to add to?
Yes, Verona is definitely a very welcoming community here. I've been in Verona now since 1983, and it's just a very warm community, and the community comes together whenever needed. So, if there's a tragedy, unfortunately, anything positive, the community is always there to support one another. So it is a very close-knit community here.
All right. My first question, and then for those who don't know, Verona and Montclair are in Essex County.
Thank you.
Up in northern Jersey. So what's the district's process for selecting a student? Because this is relatively new. I don't know. I guess my first question, did you have a student rep before the law was passed, Diane?
Verona did not. I was lucky enough in my former district. I was in Morris County, and I started there in 1993, and they already had student representatives to the board. So I'm very familiar with this program or this this position. Different in my former district, where the principal appointed someone to the seat. This policy has student is elected along with the rest of the student council.
Okay, Pam, do you have anything to add to it? How did?
Yeah, no, this is just like
policy.
No, it was our first time having a student rep, so it was through the student council that selected. So it was all new to us as well.
But it was a great experience. Obviously,
a wonderful experience. Wonderful.
Yeah, we're going to get into that because I have felt that vibe, and from your field service rep, Charlene Peterson, she said she was so impressed with Reese and how it all worked well as a board member. But how did you get started? I mean, you have a student selected, you have that process. Did you reach out to her, Diane, or Pam, or both of you at different times?
I have to tell you that Reese is so unbelievably on top of things that, yes, I would have reached out to her, but I didn't have to, because she immediately emailed me once she found out that she had been, elected to this position, and asked if there was some time that we could sit down and go over what the role looks like and how the board works. And we did that. And I know at the time, Lisa Fresky was the board president, and they met several times. Reese is just a very unique individual and wants to learn and is a go-getter when it comes to finding out what her role is, because ultimately she wanted to be successful. And I actually serve with Reese on another board, because she also serves on the Verona Public Library Board, where I'm also a trustee.
Yeah, she did mention that. So Pam, you weren't board president when she came on. You came.
I was not, but
You came.
but Lisa Freshman did brought Reese in very well. She trained her. She met with her after school hours. She gave her a lot of opportunities to just learn everything she needed to. So Lisa was really a big help with, bringing Reese on to the board.
So both of you, the board president and superintendent, reached out. When did the other board members get to know her? Was that the first meeting or a little bit?
Yes, our first meeting.
Yeah.
It was, yes, the first meeting we had.
Okay, I will say this. I was pretty impressed with Reese because she seemed to have a good intuition about what the role of the board member was and the policy end of it. But what do you think, Pam, I'll go to you first on this one. What do you think her contributions were to the other board members? Do you feel that they really embraced her and embraced her?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every board member, we just enjoyed having Reese sit on the board with us. We engaged well with her. She engaged with us. She brought so much to the table. She had so much information and just such a positive vibe all around. She was just really a breath of fresh air. She really was. She was so enjoyable to have on our board.
Okay, Diane, I'll go to you because from an administrator's point of view, and actually behind that law is so that the administration, the board hear the student voice. And I know talking to Reese, she actually talked to the other students and was not just bringing their voice, I think bringing your voice to the students.
She did.
So what do you think her contributions were? Am I reading too much into that or?
No, I think she contributed a lot of great suggestions. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about her serving on committee. That's where she had an impact as well. But she would actually go back to the student council and meet with focus groups of kids and survey them and bring the survey results to the board and bring board information back to the students. And I have to say, 10 years as a superintendent in another district, and the function of that was really just, I'm going to make my report at the Board of Ed. And they did a great job, but this was a unique situation that was really just so exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm looking at this. What was your rationale? Well, first of all, when did she come on the committee? I'm sure she wasn't on the committee her first meeting. You assigned her a committee.
No.
Maybe
halfway through last year, right, Pam? Maybe halfway through.
She asked, and she was interested in policy and education, correct? So she asked if she could join, and none of us had any issues with her being part of committee reports. She brings so much knowledge from student perspective. So it just all around. If she served on every committee, it would have been perfect.
And she was always so prepared. That's the nice thing about it. Like, she would read through. There were times when we approved 18, 20 policies and regulations in one meeting, and she was prepared with questions about information in the policy. She stumped me once. She asked me a question I couldn't answer. It was on the new HIB policy that came out of the Department of Education. She had a great question. I'm like, you know what? Let me get back to you on that. I got to find that out. Just really well prepared. She brought really great insight to the education committee, talking when we met and talked about new courses that were being offered. She just gave a fresh perspective that I don't think, someone like me who's been a central office administrator now for going on 20 years and other adult, her perspective was always fresh. And she's really confident in sharing that in a really clear way. I expect many glass ceilings to be broken with Reese.
Agreed.
I think that goes without a doubt. let me just dive a little bit deeper into that. So, and I kind of said this before, do you think you got more perspective on the students in your, particularly the high school, I guess, what they're thinking, what the impact were of your policies, of your, any of your decisions? Did it alter, did it make you think things new as either a board member or as an administrator? Pam, did the rest of the board members really appreciate her impact, and were they kind of, did they
Yes.
learn from her, I guess is my question.
She did. She brought a lot of information to us that was very helpful and gave us an understanding just to hear from what goes on in the school. You know, we're not there, so we don't really know, but she really had her pulse on basically everything. Every group of students, from the students in the music, students, the athletes, the students in, you know, the arts. She had her pulse on everything. And she engaged with every group too, to get their voice heard. It wasn't just, you know, maybe her group of friends. It was the whole entire student body where she had brought everything from.
I agree with all of that. And the fact that she did this, her curriculum, her personal curriculum was high level. I mean, this is a kid that was taking AP courses, honors courses. She was on many clubs and activities, and just unbelievable amount of energy she put toward this position. And we'll be lucky if we find someone that's, you know, half of Reese.
Don't put too much pressure on the next person.
No, this is unusual. I recognize that this was unusual.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually asked her that question because I was kind of surprised at how much work she put into it. I think as a board member, they should all put as much work into it as Reese did, because Reese really took the job seriously. And if she listens to this either live or, you know, archived, I hope she doesn't get too big a head.
No
chance.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
But let's talk about, before we get started, if anyone has any questions, they can put them in the Facebook page in the comment, and they'll be sent to me, or questions, or you can dial 609-278-5244, and Anne-Marie is manning the calls. You know, going into this, a lot of people were not used to, a lot of boards anyway, we're not used to, I know Diane, you said you were, and I think most of them do have the student just give a report, but I think there was something new here where it was more of a learning experience, not just for the student, but for the board and the administration. Moving forward, are there lessons that you learned that maybe will help you with your next student to help them get more out of it, as well as the future boards and future administrations?
I mean, I don't know if there's much more. I mean, Reese set the bar really high for us. I mean, she was just, whatever we asked from her, we didn't even really ask of her anything, but when we did like board retreats or anything extra, she was always willing to come along and join in with us. So that was really nice. I mean, I feel that now that we know what we have to do, going forward, you know, we'll go along the same lines as we did with Reese. But yeah, I don't think there's anything we really need to change, because we were very, all board members, our business administrator and Diane, we were all very supportive of Reese. So we'll be supportive of our next student rep and guide them and, you know, let them join in however they want to join in.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think you mentioned something, and she participated, okay, not just in committees, that was how, you also had her as part of the retreat. And what other things did she be part of? Was she that just like any other board member would be a part of it?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 retreats while she was on representative to the board, and she attended both of them. And I'll be honest, Charlene Peterson will attest, her level of participation was tremendous.
Right.
I mean, really, if she could have been a voting member, I would have been fine with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe that's the next law
Yeah.
that they might,
Yeah.
you did set the bar. Now, do you think the next student rep will have to follow some of her habits of, reporting back to the school? I mean, that's a lot of work that was put into it. Are you going to try to include that somehow, so that you still get the student voice somehow? Diane?
Yeah, I think when we talk to whoever is elected, and the elections actually take place early in September, so we have the freshman students are also involved in that election process. When we train the new student, I know that's a big part of it that I wasn't used to having, and I think it was an important part. So generally, they serve on the student council as well, so they can turn key information back in that manner. I don't know that the expectation would be for them to seek out all of these different groups the way Reese did, but definitely reporting back, especially on topics that directly affect students. It's interesting to say on topics that directly affect students, because just about everything we decide affects students, but I'm not sure that they're concerned about the day-to-day operations of the schools. But there are definitely decisions that the board makes that are of a significant interest to the student body. So on those issues, we'd like to continue having that two-way communication.
And overall, do you think, I mean, I know the answer to this, I can answer it for you. But, some boards had apprehensions about having a student on the board. They were nervous about it, they weren't sure what the role would be. And I think Reese kind of lifted Pam, I think you said it, Reese raised the bar.
Mm-hmm.
So that you guys could even see from your roles as board members and administrators, we can get a lot out of this. But Pam, obviously, I'm giving you a question I know the answer to, but I should be a lawyer. So was it an overall positive experience for you?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, I was a little nervous, to be honest, and I know Reese having a student serve on committee, because I had never experienced that before. And I think with Reese, because she's just so mature, sometimes you forgot she was in the room. I mean, as a child, right? You didn't, because she was so mature. She was so confidential. Obviously she didn't sit on the personnel committee, right? So that wouldn't have been appropriate. But really just did her due diligence and made great commentary, asked great questions. And we have to remember that not everyone is Reese.
So do you think also moving forward, though, advice you might give to other boards is to really embrace the student and try to get the most out of the student, try to make them feel comfortable at the board meetings, maybe not limit them to just their 5 minutes or whatever it was, but maybe look at them a little bit differently. Because I think Reese kind of, at least from what I'm hearing from both of you, raised, I said this before, raised the bar, but also made you guys think about how you could really use this position positively in your roles.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end of this. So any final thoughts on the student rep? I'll start with you, Pam. First on Reese, but also on how you now view the role of the student representative on the Board of Education.
So obviously you could tell that we're, a fan of Reese. And I just wish Reese the best. And I hope that, she continues to stay involved and comes back to visit Verona often. So I do really wish her well. And as going forward, I'm excited for the future of our students, because I feel that it is very important that their voice is heard. And it was nice to have that student rep there. So I would encourage any other boards that maybe don't have a student rep yet to really, to look into it, because they do bring information that's what we're here for. We're here for the children and to hear what they want and what they're looking for and their needs. So when you have a student rep that's going back and forth to get that information, it's very important.
Yeah, and I also think you guys reached out to her and made her feel welcome, so that you kind of encouraged her to grow into the position. Maybe you didn't know you were doing that, or Lisa might have started that as the previous board president, and Diane also did. Diane, what would you, I mean, for a superintendent, you like to have control of some things going on, and you have a student rep coming on, and that's not something that you can always control, but you guys, you embraced it as a superintendent and found out you helped her.
Well, yes, and in our strategic plan, part of our strategic plan is to get our students at the high school level and even late middle school to find their civic duty. We encourage students to serve on the multicultural accessibility committee. That's a township committee. We have some students that are playing a role on the environmental committee at the township level. So, and the Verona Public Library Board as well. So part of our strategic plan is to bring the idea of civic duty to our students. And this is another way that they can fulfill that.
Okay. That's bringing us to the end of this podcast. I want to thank the board president, Pam Priscoe, and the superintendent, Diane DiGiuseppe, from the Verona School District in Essex County, a fine district. I've been there. So, and I think what you did with your student rep, and obviously we all think Reese had a lot to do with it, and maybe 90% of it to do with it, but you guys actually did help. You didn't encourage her. I mean, sometimes people, adults can, put a limit on what a student does, and you guys didn't do that, and you let her blossom a little bit more into the role. So I commend you guys for all that. So that brings us to the end of this education matter. I hope you learned it. When your board is looking at a new student rep, there are possibilities there to make it a really great experience for both the board, the administration, as well as the students.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.